Hi there, YouTube. Today I want to talk about how free speech is a privilege, not a right, so don't squander it. Now, I can already hear people starting to type, certainly in people who are listening to me in America, saying, "No, I've got the right to free speech, it's in my constitution." Yes, you do, technically, but it's just a piece of paper. And let's just tell you about pieces of paper. In the 1930s, Neville Chamberlain, the then British Prime Minister, tried to avert the Second World War. He toddled over to Germany, had a bit of a chat with this bloke called Adolf Hitler, and Hitler said, "Yep, okay, we won't do war," and he signed a bit of paper for it. And Chamberlain came back, and he waved his bit of paper in a very famous piece of news footage, and he waved his bit of paper around, and he went, "Peace in our time." Yeah, that was just before a bit of a thing known as World War II. So it just shows you how valuable pieces of paper are. Now, the American Constitution is fantastic, but it is just a piece of paper. If the ruling classes decided that they weren't going to do anything with it and they decided it was the end of it, they could, it's possible, because it's just a piece of paper. So it's very important to not waste free speech. Now, what do I mean by wasting free speech? Well, at the moment, this concept of free speech means everybody has the ability to say something. I'm sitting here wittering nonsense into a mobile phone and then uploading it to YouTube. I am able to do this. Now, there is nobody stopping me doing this. This is a good thing. Nobody is stopping you listening to this thing. There are parts of the world where this is not the case. And it's very easy to take things for granted when you've got them, and you just assume that that's just how it will always be. If you abuse something, things get taken away. And the thing I'm talking about really is this thing about free speech is both sides of any argument have to be able to voice their opinions in order for free speech to function, which means people need to be able to tell me that I'm a blithering idiot, and I need to be able to tell other people that they are blithering idiots. Some people will believe the others, some people will believe me, and the general concept goes that whoever is sort of generally believed to be the more right, in inverted commas, will come out on top and be believed and has the sort of the ruling dogma of the time. So this does unfortunately mean allowing SJWs and general people the right to spout what they want to spout. But I have to have the right to spout what I want to spout. And the amazing thing certainly about the modern media, is if you don't like what I say, you don't have to listen to me. It's as simple as that. There's a subscribe button on YouTube. You can click it or you cannot click it. And I would like you to click it because I like to think what I say is of interest. I wouldn't do it if I didn't. But I would never want them to be banned in the same way as I would never wish to be banned. And this is the difference with people like me and people who, let's call them the regressive left. They think everybody should have free speech until that free speech doesn't agree with them. And then they think they should be banned. Then they think it's wrong, and usually they think that they should be protected from this speech. Well, you're already protected. It's called the unsubscribe button. On Twitter, it's called the block button. If it's a television programme you don't like, don't watch it. Me, I don't like Game of Thrones. No particular reason, I'm just not into fantasy shows like that. I'm sure it's wonderfully made and it's me that's out of step. So do you know what? I don't watch it. I'm not claiming it needs to be banned. I don't want it banned. If you love Game of Thrones, go right ahead and watch it and enjoy. That's your choice. It's your option. It's your right. It's your privilege. but I would never claim to want it banned. And this is what people need to understand. If you don't like what somebody says, just don't listen. Or listen, recognise that they're talking nonsense as far as you're concerned, and just move on. It's very important in any go-ahead society that both sides of the argument should be allowed to be out there. Both sides should be allowed to stand up and say what they want to say. And the people who have the narrative that most people agree with, the moral code of the day, they will be listened to. And the people who are spouting nonsense will be ignored. But you need to let them spout nonsense, because if you don't, it goes underground, and what happens is only the fanatics then will follow it. If you have a general time where it's kind of all out there, then lots and lots and lots of people will listen to what you say, and some will agree and some won't. If you make it underground, then the only people that will listen to you are the real fanatics, the people who have gone out of their way to listen to you. And what will happen then is you'll get these little groups of, 300 or 400 people who are absolutely fanatical and crazy for whatever cause it is, and they will do damage. They will become a vocal minority. And that's how changes for the worse happen, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And if the squeaky wheel is only 50 people, but if those 50 people bombard the powers that be with demands and requests and arguments and demonstrations, then things change, but not for the better. Things change for the worse. So many things have happened in modern society because we haven't allowed the less popular, shall we say, ideas to be listened to, which means that these people have actually made huge changes to our society, and they shouldn't have been allowed to make the changes, and they wouldn't have been able to make the changes if only they were more widely known. People have views, and if you make their views known, people can make up their own mind. If you hide the views away, and then they sit in their own little clique, and then they do direct action just to the person that needs to have it done to make the changes, that's when everything goes wrong. So, free speech needs to be given to everyone. It's not a right, it's a privilege.